Good evening. One of the largest defense contractors in Europe is making a play for a piece of this country's military market.
10,000 research and manufacturing jobs could land in Canada if Ottawa adds the Swedish fighter jet to its military fleet.
We, as Saab, we are prepared to do that technology transfer to Canada and support that build-up.
Canada is standing at one of the most consequential crossroads in its modern defense history, one that could reshape global alliances, military strategy, and the future of aerospace production for an entire generation. For decades, Canada's fighter jet decisions have aligned closely with Washington's vision, strengthening the North American defense ecosystem anchored by the American-made F-35. But now, a new challenger has entered the arena, Sweden's Saab Gripen. And with it comes a proposal that is shaking boardrooms, military offices, and political circles across Ottawa, Washington, and Stockholm. This isn't just about purchasing jets. It's about 10,000 new Canadian jobs, a massive industrial expansion, long-term technological sovereignty, and a dramatic shift in global fighter production. Saab isn't merely selling aircraft, they're offering to build them on Canadian soil, share high-level technology, and partner with Canada's aerospace giants like Bombardier, CAE, and IMP Aerospace. And the timing couldn't be more explosive. A Swedish royal delegation is landing in Canada next week. U.S. analysts are expressing concern, and reports suggest that even former President Donald Trump may react very strongly if Canada shifts its allegiance away from the F-35. This is not just a procurement story. This is a geopolitical power play. Canada's fighter jet procurement process has always been a closely watched event, but this time the world's attention is sharper than ever. Analysts from Washington to Stockholm warn that Canada's next move could set off a chain reaction in defense planning for decades. This is because Canada isn't simply choosing between aircraft, it is choosing between industrial ecosystems and long-term strategic alignment. For years, the F-35 program, led by the United States, appeared all but inevitable for Canada's fleet renewal. Billions have already been allocated, 16 jets have been ordered, and up to 88 are planned. But the sudden emergence of Sweden's Gripen offer has disrupted all assumptions. Unlike the U.S. approach, which guarantees long-term dependence on American supply chains, Sweden is offering Canada something far more transformative: local production, domestic control, and a seat at the global manufacturing table. This offer introduces an entirely new dimension. Canada could move from being a buyer of foreign technology to becoming a co-producer of advanced fighter jets. A shift of this scale would ripple across NATO supply chains, industrial partnerships, and future procurement patterns. For many defense planners, it represents a strategic fork in the road, with massive economic and geopolitical consequences. Saab's CEO, Mikael Johansson, has made the company's intentions unmistakably clear. This isn't about exporting jets to Canada, it's about establishing a full production line inside Canada. This would mean assembly, research, upgrades, testing, and long-term maintenance all happening domestically. Few countries in the world have ever been offered this level of sovereignty over an advanced fighter platform. Saab is offering technology transfer, engineering collaboration, deep integration with Canadian aerospace firms, and the opportunity to build facilities that will last for generations. The company has even said that the first Canadian-built Gripen could roll off the assembly line in just 3 to 5 years. This proposal is not simply generous, it is strategically calculated. Sweden's population of only 10 million limits how fast Saab can scale up to meet growing global demand. By expanding production into Canada, Saab gains the workforce, industrial base, and strategic location needed to support global customers, including Ukraine, which has already expressed interest in acquiring 100 Gripen jets. For Canada, this means turning domestic factories into global export hubs, positioning itself at the forefront of fighter technology production. It's an offer that goes far beyond procurement. This is about building an entire aerospace ecosystem. At the heart of Saab's offer lies a massive economic incentive. 10,000 Canadian research and manufacturing jobs connected directly to the Gripen program. These aren't entry-level roles. They include high-paying positions in aerospace engineering, avionics design, stealth technology development, advanced composites manufacturing, and long-term systems maintenance. Canada's aerospace sector, once a global leader, has struggled with inconsistent government support and limited domestic production. Saab's proposal could reverse decades of decline by creating a new industrial foundation capable of sustaining long-term innovation. This jobs boom wouldn't be limited to a single region. Saab has already identified major partners: Bombardier in Montreal, CAE in Montreal, IMP Aerospace in Nova Scotia. These companies could produce parts, assemble aircraft, develop simulators, and handle upgrades. For smaller suppliers across Canada, thousands more spin-off jobs could emerge in tooling, electronics, materials, and software. This level of industrial expansion could become one of the most significant manufacturing investments in Canadian history, on par with automotive revolutions or major energy developments. It would give Canada long-term technological independence and an economic engine capable of producing fighter jets not just for itself, but for global clients. The Gripen program isn't just about Canada. Global demand for the aircraft is rising rapidly, especially from countries looking for modern, affordable, and versatile jets. Ukraine, in particular, has expressed interest in acquiring up to 100 Gripen jets as it rebuilds its air force. Saab knows it cannot meet this demand alone, given Sweden's limited workforce. This is why Canada is uniquely positioned. With its industrial capacity, engineering talent, and strategic geography, Canada could become a secondary production hub, supplying Gripens to allied nations. This would allow Sweden and Canada to jointly meet international demand, while strengthening Western defense alliances. If Canada decides to produce these jets locally, it doesn't just gain economic benefits, it gains strategic influence. It becomes a critical supplier to countries that rely on Western defense technology. This positions Canada at the center of a new manufacturing network that could rival existing aerospace giants. For Ukraine, having an additional production line in Canada offers security, reliability, and speed. And for NATO partners, it provides an alternative supply chain outside of the United States. This alignment makes Saab's proposal about much more than Canada. It's about shaping the future of global defense collaboration. Canada's unexpected consideration of Saab's offer has sent ripples through Washington. The F-35 program is not just a fighter jet initiative. It is a massive ecosystem involving U.S. jobs, technology contracts, and industrial investments worth hundreds of billions. Every country that commits to the F-35 strengthens this ecosystem. If Canada shifts even part of its procurement to Saab, several implications emerge. American contractors lose industrial offsets and production opportunities. Canada becomes less dependent on U.S. supply chains. The planned 88 F-35 jets could be reduced or delayed. The U.S. loses economic leverage in North American defense planning. Some analysts warn that this could create tension between Ottawa and Washington, especially given how closely their defense industries are intertwined. And because Donald Trump has frequently emphasized job creation and industrial supremacy, experts believe he may publicly criticize or pressure Canada if it moves towards Saab. A Canadian decision to embrace the Gripen would effectively shift billions in potential economic activity away from the U.S. and toward Canadian factories. This is why the situation has become far more than a procurement choice. It's a strategic challenge to American industrial influence. Next week, Canada will host a major Swedish delegation led by King Carl XVI Gustaf and Queen Sylvia. This visit is not ceremonial. It is a strategic push. Saab executives, including CEO Mikael Johansson, will accompany the royals, holding meetings in Ottawa and touring major aerospace hubs in Montreal. Their agenda is clear: present detailed industrial plans, showcase the economic advantages, strengthen defense cooperation, Engage with Canadian political leaders and industry partners. Stops include facilities at Bombardier, where discussions will center on assembly lines, supply chain integration, and technology sharing possibilities. The Swedish government is taking an unusually active role in the proposal, highlighting how critical this deal is for Sweden's long-term defense strategy. This type of direct royal involvement sends a strong message. Sweden is treating Canada not as a customer, but as a potential strategic partner in developing one of the world's most advanced fighter jet ecosystems. Diplomatically, the visit underscores how high the stakes have become. For Canada, this is an opportunity to evaluate the full geopolitical impact of the Gripen proposal through direct, high-level engagement. At its core, Canada's decision reflects a deeper national debate. Should Canada prioritize sovereignty and domestic industry, or maintain alignment with U.S. defense systems? Choosing the F-35 keeps Canada firmly within the American-led ecosystem, but limits domestic autonomy. All upgrades, parts, and technology would rely on U.S. contractors. In contrast, choosing the Gripen opens the door to Canadian-built jets, independent maintenance, local production, and long-term technological self-reliance. This isn't just about military capability, it's about national identity. A Canadian-manufactured jet would represent a major step toward defense sovereignty, reducing reliance on foreign suppliers and giving Canada control over its own maintenance cycles and upgrades. But there is risk. Turning away from the F-35 could strain Canada-US relations or complicate interoperability within NATO missions, where the F-35 is becoming the dominant platform. Leaders must weigh economic opportunity against strategic alignment. They must balance innovation against geopolitical relationships, and they must decide whether to follow the established path or carve a new one that could redefine Canada's role in global defense partnerships. The coming weeks will determine the trajectory of Canada's defense and industrial future. The arrival of Sweden's royal delegation marks the beginning of a critical evaluation process. Canadian officials must analyze the long-term economic impact, the feasibility of domestic production, integration with existing military systems, diplomatic consequences with the United States. Canada's long-term strategic needs. Analysts warn that whichever path Canada chooses will have consequences lasting decades. Choosing Saab may unlock unprecedented industrial growth and technological autonomy. Choosing the F-35 maintains established alliances and avoids immediate diplomatic friction. Ottawa is expected to examine Saab's proposal in detail, including projected job creation, facility requirements, production timelines, and export opportunities. At the same time, Washington will be watching closely, concerned about losing economic and strategic influence. This moment has become more than a procurement choice. It is a test of leadership, vision, and strategic courage. The world is watching, and Canada's decision will echo across NATO, global aerospace markets, and international politics. The crossroads is here. The decision is historic, and the stakes have never been higher. Canada now faces a defining choice, one that will shape its military strength, industrial growth, and global influence for decades. Saab's Gripen proposal offers a rare opportunity: 10,000 high-skill Canadian jobs, true technological sovereignty, and the chance to join the world's elite group of fighter jet producers. The F-35 path, however, maintains reliability and keeps Canada aligned with long-standing U.S. defense structures. This decision is bigger than aircraft. It's about identity. It's about independence. It's about Canada's future in a rapidly changing world. With Sweden's delegation arriving and global pressure mounting, Canada must choose between being a buyer or becoming a builder, between the familiar and the transformative. If you enjoyed this analysis, subscribe to Read Leaf Politics for more powerful geopolitical breakdowns.